Hey guys, welcome back to a new video. Just before we get into it, I'd just like to say that if you guys do enjoy this type of content and want to see more, it would mean a lot to me if you could subscribe, and if you enjoy the video, please make sure to like. So I decided that I will be commentating through this whole run, just to let you guys know like what's going on and what's happening. So for starters, I do want to clarify that there are faster times in Peak, however this is the world record for version 1.7, which is the most recent version. Now under normal circumstances this wouldn't really matter or apply, however since version 1.7 has been released there have been some very major changes. The two most notable ones is that firstly the seeds are completely different, so level 13, which is the commonly used world record seed in versions 1.6 and above, is no longer the same as level 13 in version 1.7. So for starters, every single seed is brand new and has never before been seen. And the second biggest change is that chain launchers can no longer be shot like vertically up, which once again is a huge change, as in the final stage it basically allowed you to get a solid 50 or so meters for free. Whereas now you can only shoot them relatively horizontally with a slight angle. So with these two big changes, I personally think that version 1.7 should be on its own in its own kind of category, as there is huge notable changes that completely change how the game is played. But yeah, so off the start in this run with the first 4 luggages I looted at the very start. Basically if I did not get a lollipop or an energy drink, I'd instantly reset, as I need one of those 2 items in the tropics, which is the second stage, for a certain part in it, and I also need a rope cannon before the alpine stage, which I was lucky enough to get both a lollipop and a rope cannon off the bat, so that's 2 things that I need instantly ticked off. And so from this point, the shoreline on this seed is pretty good, but it's a bit average. But yeah, so here we loot this luggage, get nothing out of it. I then have to drop down here and I go for a second luggage, which if my memory serves me right, I got nothing in this luggage either. And so yeah, then we start climbing. We have to drop down here, and then yeah, but yeah, for the most part a lot of this is fairly straightforward up until the very final stage with the volcano, which is basically what everyone's runs come down to. But yeah, I had multiple good times on version 1.7, but I really wanted to get a sub 30 before posting a video, even though the best times I've seen in 1.7 are like only about 35 minutes. I think I've seen one that's at 32 minutes. But even though I have multiple runs that I could have posted, I really wanted to just for myself get a sub 30 before I went ahead and did that. And so yeah, with this run I will say that there are many optimizations I can make. For instance, even just then I briefly just forgot which way to go there, which lost just a couple seconds, but it's something. Now a big thing that I only did in this run was I actually ignored the ancient luggage there. Pretty much in every other run I've attempted I've gone for it, but more often than not it just gives an item that I basically won't use in the entire run. You know, and people in the comments can correct me if I'm wrong, but I just don't see a point in taking a Cure All or a Pandora's Box. The only things I think could be worthwhile out of an ancient luggage is like an anti-rope, either of the anti-ropes. They're the only things I think are worthwhile. But yeah, basically from this point on the shoreline, it's pretty easy going. There's a very fast route, and I only really discovered this route in the last couple of days. I had a different route I was doing for quite a while, but then I found this one where I can basically just jump up for the rest of the way instead of having to do a good amount of climbing and stuff like that. Which optimized it quite a lot. It saved maybe 10 to 20 seconds depending on how accurate I was compared to my past route. But yeah, and the biggest part I will say with my run that I feel needs improvement is the Alpine, as most of the other stages are fairly quick. For instance, here on the shoreline, in this run get it done in about 4 minutes 40, whereas in the Alpine it took me 7 minutes in this run, which is a big chunk of time when you consider it's a 29-minute run. But yeah, just there I got another energy drink, and I realized immediately that the energy drink is actually the item I prefer over the lollipop to use in the tropics here, so I actually quickly rearranged my thing here to put the energy drink in my holding hand and put the lollipop in the backpack. That way I can use the energy drink up here. But this tropics in this seed is actually extremely good. There's plenty of routes that in my opinion are feasible. When I first started running this seed, I was using a route on the very right hand side, but midway through, like doing a bunch of runs and stuff, I found this route where I can basically immediately start a fair bit off the ground with that vine that I used off the bat. And so in my opinion, I'd say this route is potentially one of the better routes that can be done in this tropics, as I'm immediately starting a fair bit above ground level instead of having to go all the way down and work my way up. But yeah. So here I actually do make a slight mistake. I meant to jump to the tree that's right behind me at the minute and then go up the vine, but then I forgot, and yeah, but so slight mistake there. But I get back on it and jump up, and then jump across here, and then jump up here. And so in a second here you'll see where I use the energy drink, because basically if I don't have it, this starting route where I immediately save some time instead of having to go to the bottom isn't actually doable without an energy drink or lollipop here. Potentially with, like, you know, a rope cannon or something, this part here would also be doable, maybe even a piton. But I think it's just by far easiest with an energy drink, although I maybe would consider using a rope cannon here. My only problem with that is that then I would need 2 rope cannons, so it was to get up that big slope there, which you need something to get up. But yeah, as I said, a rope cannon could probably be very viable there as well, but the only problem is that I would then need to get 2 rope cannons off of the start pretty much, instead of other stuff. But it could be viable, as for the volcano I need 4 energy drinks or lollipops, and it can be a mix of both. Like it could be 3 lollipops, 1 energy drink, or 2 of each, or 3 energy drinks, 1 lollipop. But yeah, for the very end I need at least 4 of them, which I already have 2, which is really good. I have a lollipop in my hands right now and I have 1 in my backpack. So for the rest of the run I basically only need 2 more. But another thing that I do like having for the final stage is also a chain launcher. Having 2 chain launchers actually makes it a lot better, but I only actually need 1. It's just if I have 2 I can save a bit more time. But yeah, and so here there's this really good vine here. Well, it's not a vine, but I don't exactly know what to call this, where I can just jump up a lot of distance there. And yeah, we're approaching the top of the tropics very shortly here. And so yeah, I'm pretty much prepped. I have the rope cannon for a slight skip in the Alpine, which maybe saves, if I have to guess, like about 30 to 40 seconds. And then, as I said before, I just need 2 more either big lollipops or energy drinks, and I'm good for the final stage. But yeah, so here once again we have this, I guess, I don't know, maybe tree trunk that I can climb up. There's a set of them here. Also, just before, this was also one of the only runs where I actually ignored 2 luggages that I went past before. I'd say if I was maybe lacking in like the energy drink and lollipop department, that I'd maybe check them out, but I decided in this run it wastes about another 30 seconds to just check 2 basic luggages, which I didn't find too worthwhile. But yeah, and just before there you would have seen I got a 3rd energy drink, so now all I need basically for the end is a chain launcher and one more lollipop or energy drink. But yeah, and once again I ignore the ancient statue here because I've just personally come to the conclusion that I don't really want the items that are out of them, but that's just my opinion. As I said, I'm very happy for suggestions or corrections in the comments if people have other opinions that I'm doing that wrong and I should be checking it. But as I said, I feel the anti-rope items are the only ones that are in any way, shape or form worthwhile. But yeah, and so the Alpine in my opinion is by far probably not the hardest. I was going to say the hardest, but I'd say the final stage is the hardest, but just the most difficult to route and stuff. Now as you see there, I made a mistake which was taking fall damage, and I really needed to hope that in these 3 luggages here that I got either bandages or a first aid kit. I got a heat pack, which I popped that, and then I got a first aid kit and an energy drink. So I do have to waste some time here healing myself up, but I now have all the energy drinks and lollipops I need for the final stage. I decided to pop another heat pack just in case, and then I'm on my way here in the Alpine, which it's a pretty boring route to get to the point where I actually need to start doing stuff, but yeah. So literally all I need from this point is a chain launcher and I'm set for the final stage. But yeah, I do think the Alpine is probably the biggest area out of all of them where I could optimize it a lot further. It was also the area I have spent the most time looking at, and you know, trying to find a viable route and stuff, and my routes have changed a lot on the Alpine. You know, for instance, I'll just spoil it, but the Alpine took me 7 minutes in this run, whereas in previous runs it has taken me like 9, 10, 11 minutes, so I would say I've definitely cut the time down a lot for the Alpine, but it's nowhere near as optimized as some of the other areas are, and I don't know whether that's partly the seed is just a bit mediocre for the Alpine, or whether I just haven't found a good enough route for it. I really couldn't tell you. But yeah, like as I said, the tropics on this seed is really good. Like I've had multiple routes that were in the 5 to 6 minute range that were like very good, whereas this seed has just taken me a really long while to find a good route for the Alpine. So here I even get a little lost at where I'm at, and that's because I actually kind of went a bit of the wrong way before. You would have also seen before I probably lost a good 5, 6, 7 seconds getting stuck on a little bush. But yeah, so here's where the main actual routing part of the Alpine comes in. I start climbing up here on the left, and one thing I will say is good about this Alpine is that there is many luggages along the way, which is really good for if I wasn't in the position I was in right now where I literally just need a chain launcher and I'm set. There's many runs where I've only had 1 or 2 energy drinks or lollipops up to this point, and the Alpine has came in clutch and given me the items I've needed, because I have 3 of the luggages you would have seen pretty much off the very start that I get, and then coming up here I get another 3 luggages, maybe even 4, but I'm pretty sure it's just 3. So yeah, you'll see 2 are just here. I go a slight little wrong way there again, but yeah, I'd love to see more people running version 1.7. As I said, like I get it isn't as optimal as the 1.6 versions due to, as I said, the 2 factors being people have already optimized the seeds in the 1.6 versions, and then the chain launchers are obviously significantly nerfed in this version. But like, you know, I am a person who for the most part believes in that you should be playing the game in the most recent version. Like I could downgrade if I wanted to and do the previous versions, but instead I have decided that I'd take the kind of harder route and go ahead and have to route my own seed, and stuff like that. And so anyways, here you can see where the rope cannon comes into play. Basically, without the rope cannon, I have to go to the left. I didn't really look at it or anything, but I have to go to the left, and it honestly takes, if I had to guess, anywhere from about 45 seconds to a minute to go that way. So the rope cannon saves a significant amount of time. I also only have recently realized that there is a way to actually climb rope far quicker than what I was. But yeah, here's one of the biggest time losses in the run, at least up to this point. Luckily I didn't take any fall damage, but yeah, I should have grabbed the piton as I was falling, but I missed it. Obviously I should have just had enough stamina to start with to get up here like I do there. But yeah, now here I did actually do something that is just habit, and that is that I used to go up to the left the way I was just headed in my old runs, whereas I can just climb up here from the bottom if I have enough stamina. So that was probably a slight time loss, if I had to guess, maybe anywhere from 5 to 10 seconds again. But yeah, we get up here, have another luggage up here, which is good. We still need that chain launcher, and it is actually optimal for me to get 2 chain launchers for the final stage, but it isn't necessary for me to get that, so I am fine with just one. But yeah, we keep jumping around here, and pretty much from this point onwards the Alpine is done. We're basically at the top here. We're not just yet, but there's nothing challenging from this point onwards. It's smooth sailing. And so yeah, you saw the smoke of the campfire just there, and there it is again. Now I do wrap a bit wide here, like I'm not gonna lie, if I was going a bit closer to the center it could maybe be a bit quicker, but there's a bit of climbing required if I do go a bit to the center. So I've just found that going around this long way is just not only easier, but it's also potentially a bit more efficient. Now I did forget here that I need to be a bit closer to the left than what I was, so you can see there I lose maybe a second or two. But yeah, and that is the Alpine stage done, and we'll be moving on to the Caldera. But yeah, once again, ignore the ancient statue. I don't find any point in looting them. But yeah, the only problem at the minute is that I do not have all the loot I need, but luckily at the end of the Caldera up here, there is a lot of loot, but you did see I got another lollipop, which in my opinion is super good. So even though I would prefer a chain launcher, it actually isn't all that necessary if I do have an extra lollipop or energy drink. So yeah, in my opinion the Caldera is the easiest stage in the whole game. Like even on any other seed, I'm not specifically talking for my seed. Now I did have a mess up there, and then once again I then didn't have enough stamina to even climb up, so I probably lost, if I had to guess, a good 10 or so seconds there, which is pretty bad considering it was right off the bat at the Caldera. Yeah, the route for this is fairly straightforward. I think the part that makes this easier than most of the other parts for me in the game is just the fact that you're basically going horizontally the whole time. There's not a whole lot of climbing that goes on. But yeah, on the route over to the end of the Caldera, right up here is the only luggage I actually go by. Any of the other luggages are in spots that I ignore. I just loot the granola bar just for a little bit of extra energy for if I need it. Then we jump across here. But yeah, it's fairly straightforward. But with the 5 lollipops and energy drinks now, I technically don't need anything else loot wise. I can make it to the top with the stuff I have. It's just a chain launcher does make it easier. It also prevents me from getting a larger sleep bar in my health bar, or whatever it would be called. I imagine it would be called a health bar. But yeah, that's the advantage of the chain launcher, is it makes sure that my sleep inside of the volcano is not going too far. Now once again there I made a bit of a mistake where I climbed up that rock when I didn't have to, so once again that's maybe another 10 to 15 seconds I've lost there. I could have just basically ran straight across the side of it and been completely and utterly fine. But all of these mistakes are minimal, but it definitely shows that, especially just on this seed in general, and also for version 1.7, that there is a good amount of room for improvement that this run can have. And I'm not gonna lie, in the kiln I'd say is where my biggest mistakes are at. I do remember there is a part where I actually had to just straight up stand still for quite a while. So there's plenty of room for improvement. I'd say if you got this seed, at least with my present routes, down pretty perfectly, I'd say that maybe a 26 minute time is probably possible. And if I do get any better times in the near future, I'll make sure to post them. As I said, I'm pretty determined to speedrunning version 1.7 of the game, which not many other runners are doing, and I want to see how low I can take it with the new seeds and also the nerfs. But yeah, so here I'm looking for either a chain launcher, which bam, we find one, or any extra energy drinks or lollipops, as the more of those we do have, technically the faster it will be. So I put the, that's right, I was going to say I put the chain launcher in the backpack, but I don't. I swap out a lollipop and put the chain launcher in my inventory. And yeah, now obviously the next about minute and a half is pretty boring as we're just sprinting into the volcano. But yeah, from here on out we have absolutely everything we need to beat the seed. In fact, I have an extra energy drink or lollipop that I don't actually require for the run, which is good. So yeah, going into this, I'm basically at a point in my head where I know that I have everything I need to do this right now. I feel I'm on pretty good pace. Sure, have I had many slight mistakes throughout the run? Yes, but I haven't actually had anything major just yet. I used the rope cannon in the Alpine, which saves 30 seconds to a minute. And so overall I think I'm on very good pace here. I probably should get the timer mod that you can install for peak, just that way I actually know what pace I'm on. But yeah, so here we enter the kiln, and from here I'm not gonna lie, I'm a bit average on my routing for the kiln, just in terms of memorization. I have found what I believe is a very good route and stuff like that, but there are multiple parts where I kinda have to stand and think like, oh, which way do I go? And there's been many runs where I go a different way to what I'm actually practiced and whatnot. So yeah, here we try to get up here, and we only just had enough stand for it. I know I fall here very shortly, I think it's right here. Yep, so oh no, okay, no, not there. Yeah, so you'll see there I did a tiny pause where I'm like looking around and I'm thinking, which way is it I'm meant to go again? And then once again I go too far to the right, I'm meant to just go straight up there. And so yeah, there is a fair bit of just dilly-dally here where if I knew the route to a T, I would be able to do it fairly easily. So yeah, you'll see there is where I fall. Little FPS spike there as well, which actually scared me very much in the run because I was like, I wasn't sure if I died or something. Once again, I make the exact same mistake there, and don't have enough stam to make it all the way up, and I think I do it the third time. Yeah, so really not good there. I honestly, from memory, this is not the way I'm meant to be going at this part. I'm pretty sure, like, for the most part in this lower section, I'm meant to just be jumping all the way up. There's very few parts where I actually climb, so I'm pretty sure I was just straight up going the wrong way there. Now, this is a part where if I had a second chain launcher, I would be chain launchering across to that bridge over there. But considering I don't, but I know I have an extra lollipop or energy drink, I decide to pop a lollipop here to get across, and I chose the lollipop over the energy drink just because I do think energy drinks are more superior for climbing vertically up. So as you'll see, the downside I was talking about with not having a chain launcher is the fact that my sleep bar will get higher. So right up here is a part where I use an energy drink, but due to using the lollipop where I just used it, I actually don't have as much stamina as I normally would for this energy drink part right here, which does cost me a tiny bit. But yeah, I let it get to basically as high as it can be, start jumping up. Lost contact with the wall there a little bit, which was a bit average. But yeah, we got up to this point. Normally I get a tiny bit higher, as I said, if I had a bit more stam, but it was okay. It wasn't the end of the world. Luckily I could stand there. And then here is where I usually use either a second lollipop or energy drink. I probably, in hindsight, should have used a lollipop instead of an energy drink here. I'm not too sure exactly which is better. And then here I mess up big time and waste a lot of my energy drink. And you'll see that this, if you look at my bar, is very clearly the spot where I just kind of have to sit around and wait, which really sucks. This was a huge time kill. I've done this seed many times and there's definitely no way I could have either gone to the left and avoided it, or gone up to the right. I do think though, for future, I maybe with that second energy drink or lollipop need to just go more up to the left hand side instead of going this right hand side I go. Just because I do think that this area right here, if I don't, like, I need a lot of stamp to get across here. But yeah, anyways, we get across. As I said, huge time kill. That's probably the biggest time kill in the whole run. I just make sure to eat this stuff for extra energy and also get rid of my tiny food bar that I had. Once again here, went slightly the wrong way, which, as I said, happens plenty of times throughout this run. But I eventually realized that this is the way I'm meant to be going. We avoid that lava falling right there. And then this is the next bridge, and so basically this is coming up, at least, is the next part where I use my chain launcher. Once again here I kind of forgot the routing I was meant to do. I believe this, even in hindsight I'm trying to consider whether this is the correct way, but I believe this is the correct way that I'm usually meant to go. As you can see there though, I lose a lot of time trying to rush my climbing. But yeah, we get up here and I'm looking around. Normally I'm over on that side a fair bit more, so I rearranged a bit, but in hindsight, once again, probably could have just shot my chain launcher where it was. But yeah, so that's about as much of an angle as you can get the chains on these days. In the past you could just shoot them exactly vertical, which would save so much time. But yeah, and then here I realized that this is a part that I usually have an energy drink for, not a lollipop, which once again is potentially another reason why I should have used that lollipop in that previous part over an energy drink. I realized I was gonna pop the lollipop there, but I realized that this part is actually fairly just climbable in general. But once again, that ends up costing me a bit of time, as I dilly-dally a bit too much. I only just reached that ledge there, which if I didn't would have cost me quite a significant period of time. But yeah, I'm looking around here and I'm thinking, like, do I pop a lollipop, do I not? But I decided to go over here first, just because there wasn't a whole lot of terrain above me, and if a lollipop does not get me as high as I need it to get me, then I'm potentially fully screwed and that's run over. Whereas over here where I am now, there's quite a lot of stuff to go off. Now once again, you know, I mess up here quite a fair few times, but you know, it is what it is. Yeah, anyways, so now here I realize, okay, there's nowhere else to go. Normally I use an energy drink here, but I use my lollipop and I just gotta hope I'm getting high enough. I realized about here that I'm not gonna get as high as I usually would. I just need to get to this platform here, which I do. Luckily I could stand there, and then from here it's, in a second at least, it's, yeah, from this point it's cruise, like it's cruisy. There isn't any part really from here that isn't doable with nothing in your inventory. But once again, I decided, because I got that 5th and extra lollipop or energy drink, that I'd use it here to just climb up a bit quicker than what I would have without it. And yeah, we're basically at the very top now, and all I need to do is just jump off the edge. Now, to be honest with you, I don't know why this isn't considered a glitch, but it's not. But instead of actually having to go up to the peak, you can just kill yourself off the edge here, as long as you go far enough for it to be considered the peak. Which, as you can see, it's now considered the peak, and bam, I do enough to kill me. Granted, if I didn't have that extra sleep that I had, it would have actually been a very close call there, and run is done in 29 minutes and 16 seconds. So as I said, there's a lot of improvement that can be done here. I made a lot of mistakes in the kiln, probably, if I had to guess, maybe close to 2 minutes of mistakes, whereas there were just slight mistakes throughout the rest of the run. But yeah, I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. I'm going to be attempting to get faster times in version 1.7. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it, and please subscribe and like the video if this is the type of content you want to see. So thank you very much for watching, and peace.